You can see the auricle, pinna, and the external auditory meatus. Let's go right over here. If you're stupid enough to be using cotton tip applicators to clean your ear, look how easy it is to put a hole through that. Very easy to puncture your eardrum. Be very careful. What is this thing over here?
Is that the staples?
Nope, stapes the other side.
Oh yeah, I didn't know those.
Hammer, anvil, stirrup, or this is the malleus, then comes the incus and the stapes. Okay? This is what happens when you have a lot of pus in the inner ear. Why would you get pus in the inner ear?
Infection?
From where?
The throat.
The throat. How does it get into the ear?
Up through the auditory
The
tube.
tympanic membrane, the tympanic tube, or the eustachian tube, or the auditory tube, whatever you want to call it. So what would you do whenever you have an abscess? What do you got to do? Drain it.
Do people use wigs? Yeah.
This is what they call it in an ear tube. You have one? And then what happens is it eventually falls out and it grows over and you're okay. But this way you don't have the pain, because you mentioned pain and a bulge on the eardrum. There's a friend.
Can you go back for me?
So is that where you just put water in the ear and eventually it'll just crawl out?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
What you do there is actually, you actually get, you put a little wick there, and you can actually let the air wax as it burns.
See, I've actually heard that those are not safe and that people always pull them out and they're like, oh,
Ew.
there's so much earwax, but it's actually just the inside of that itself burning.
That's
It
right.
turns yellow. It's just meant it's like it's almost a gag how bad it is. So people have had tympanic burns and like
It's a
facial
stupid,
burns.
it's a stupid thing to do. Anyway, always make sure you never know what you'll find. Now let's look at the important stuff. The hammer, anvil, the stirrup. Looks like a tuning fork, doesn't it? The malleus, incus, stapes. Know those words. Look at how small they are. Madam, will you hold up the little square, green square over here in front of you? Right there. I want you all to take a look at that. That's where they have the actual bones in here. See that? Before you leave. And you should while you got it.
Here, I'll just pass it around. How about that?
Okay, they're very small. And then, where are the hammer, anvil, stirrup? Are they the outer ear, middle ear, or inner ear?
External.
Middle ear.
Middle. Okay.
Middle. Now, here's the part I wanted to show you when I went to that laboratory, when I went to the slide from lecture. In the inner ear, you have this thing over here. This is what it looks like on the model. Here's what it looks like in real life. And it's important to understand that inside here, yeah, it does. It's what's called the cone. It looks like a snail. All this whole thing is the bone, the hollow bone that houses the ability to hear and have static stance and dynamic motion evaluated. This is called the osseous labyrinth. The osseous labyrinth, there are 3 of them, even though it looks like it's all one. Over here, the snail, see how it winds, it actually goes all the way to here. See this? It goes 1, 2, 3, and a longy right up to here. That's all the cochlea. The cochlea is the osseous labyrinth, the bony labyrinth, holding the gooey wonders that help you hear, which would be the membranous labyrinth. Over here, the bigger part of this is called the vestibule. The vestibule is the osseous labyrinth that holds the membranous labyrinth for static stance, positioning. Then over here, you see these 3 semicircles? 1, 2, 3. Those are called the semicircular canals. Those are the osseous labyrinths that hold the ability to evaluate dynamic motion. So whenever you see osseous labyrinths, you got to think of the bone that holds the structures that does whatever you're looking for. Does everybody understand that? Does anybody understand that? So, no, not yet? Well, right now, it's a fancy way to look. Your skull holds your brain, right? And we just say that, but let's say it in a more stupid way, like they're doing here. Your skull is your osseous labyrinth, but the thing that helps you think is the brain. Okay? So, it's 2 separate things, but they're letting you know, that's the only way I can say it, like that. The skull is the osseous labyrinth. So what's the osseous labyrinth for hearing? is called the cochlea. But inside the cochlea, there is this membrane thingy called the organ of Corti. That would be the membranous labyrinth. For static motion, remember, and over here in the vestibule, you have those hair cells that have the bricks on top of them. They're called maculae, okay? And the maculae are inside something called utricules and saccules. The utricule and saccule is the name of the membranous labyrinth inside the osseous labyrinth. Right, so the skull holds the brain, the cochlea holds the cochlear duct, which we'll talk about. The vestibule holds the utricles and saccules, and the semicircular canals, this is the easy one, holds the semicircular canals. It's the only time they make sense. But do you have a feeling for the terminology a little bit?
So the otoliths, is that what they're called?
The what? The otoliths
Yes.
are what?
They're different from the ossicles? Are they different?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the ossicles over here are in the midbrain, or in the mid-ear, the middle ear. Okay, let's go back to the other slide here. So, let's go here. Do I have, I want to go back to here. Let's go PowerPoints. Just remember where you are. Okay, here is the outer ear. The ossicles over here, these bones for the hammer anvil, this is the stirrup, that's in the middle ear. Do you see that? So you see that's where the ossicles are?
Yes.
And then in the inner ear, you just see the bones here that house everything. Like the skull houses the brain, but they have a funny terminology here. Instead of calling it the skull, they're calling it the osseous labyrinth. And instead of calling it the brain, they're calling it the cochlear duct for hearing, the saccule and utricle for balance, and the crista ambularis for the semicircular canals. So we got that?
Yes.
Because it's important you see where that part there, then we get out of there, go back here, go to here, and go to, where are you? Because I really want to make sure you understand where we are. So over here, the inner ear. So we got a feeling for that yet? So now we're only going to look at the snail. But before we look at the snail, before we look at these pictures over here that will be so confusing, let's look at what I have over here. Unless I should redraw the whole thing. Yeah, maybe I'll redraw the whole thing. So
What is that?
where is the here? Here is the red thing. Is this it here?
I have an expo marker in my backpack if you need it.
Let me see if this is dark enough. Here, why don't I put the red? Why don't I put it? I have a good dark right here. A whole sack of bone. Everything outside here is bone. Okay. And then we have what we're going to fill this whole area with perilymph. So basically, there's bone here and around here. Everything inside this is filled with perilymph. It's a sac. Inside everything out here is bone. All right. And what I'm going to do on the other side of this bone is I'm going to put a little water balloon right over here, and I'm going to fill that with endolymph. We got that so far? So there's perilymph. So there's perilymph here. There's perilymph here. And so what do we have now? We have now, it looks like 3 chambers. It really isn't. It's really just a water balloon in the middle of this whole big pot. But when you start looking at it under the microscope, it gets confusing. Now over here, we'll just put a circle here, 2 entrances. Over here, I'm going to put one of the bones. Which bone is that for for the middle ear? In other words, this is all the middle ear over here. What bone is that? That's the stapes or the stirrups, right? So you got the music goes in here. The air vibrates, sending vibrations inside the external auditory meatus. It vibrates the tuning fork, which vibrates and hits what? Which bone?
The
Hammer, which then hits the anvil,
Anvil.
which then hits the stirrup. Okay? So that vibrates. Sure it's not important. Okay. So this is vibrating. Can you see that here, the vibrations of the tuning fork, this is called the oval window. So the oval window, the tuning fork vibrates. It vibrates the perilymph. And the perilymph vibrates around this way, goes around the edge, comes out this way, and this is the round window. Are we okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
And this goes back, this is all the middle ear here. Now, let us say we now do it like a microscope. How do you do it with a microscope? You got to cut the thing. So I'm going to take two knives, right? I'm going to cut here and here. And I'm going to look in this way. Does everybody see what I've done there so far? So I'm going to look in this way. What would I see if I'm looking in? Does that make sense? Can you see? I'm seeing a circle here, circle here, circle here.
Okay.
Can you follow that so far? The top has perilymph, the bottom has perilymph, and the middle has endolymph. Is that so okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, notice that in reality, it goes all around the edge. And that'll become important in a second, a little while. Now, inside the endolymph, that's where you're able to hear. What is the thing that helps you hear? What's the name of the organ that helps you hear? Organ of Corti. So what happens over here, inside the endolymph, down here somewhere, there's some kind of craziness that we'll show you on the microscope. This is the organ of Corti. So let's follow the sequence of what's going on. If I'm over here, I can see the oval window. If I'm over here, I can see the round window. If I'm over here, I'm looking into a piece of bone. This is a closed system, right? So the vibrations go to the middle ear. It vibrates the tuning fork, the stapes. It vibrates the perilymph, which vibrates the endolymph, which vibrates the organ of Corti, which then has a nerve that sends out to the vestibulocochlear nerve, which vibrates the perilymph down here, which vibrates out. Does that make sense? Are we okay with that?
I'm having issues, sorry.
Out loud?
I'm having problems understanding. Is there a barrier between the perilymph and the...
Yes. Imagine this. Imagine I had a big glass jar, and in it I put a big balloon filled with air or water or something. So if I vibrate the outside of the jar, it'll vibrate the water, it will vibrate the balloon.
Right.
So that's what's going on. This is just a balloon in here. But what happens here is, as the vibrations come here, it vibrates. Are we okay?
Yes.
Okay. So now, these things have names. See, over here, it's just a balloon in a pot of water. But when we look at it under the microscope, these have names. This, we said the whole thing is called, the bone out here is called what? What do you call that snail thing?
Cochlea.
The cochlea. Now, inside the cochlea is this balloon. That helps you hear. What is the name of that balloon? This is the membranous labyrinth for hearing. What's it called?
Organ of Corti.
No. It's called the cochlear duct. The cochlear duct, inside it, is endolymph and the organ of Corti. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We call this the vestibular duct. We call this the vestibular membrane. We call this the cochlear duct. We call this the organ of Corti. We call this the basilar membrane. We call this the tympanic duct. all those names. You see that? Now, that's the easy thing. Now, I'm going to show you how it gets hard, but it doesn't really have to be. Imagine this was a big, long, drawn-out picture, and now what did I do? I want to make it look like a snail. So I take this, and I wrap it around itself several times. You see how this is a snail, and it's wrapped, it's just gone around in circles? If I cut a snail in half like that, wouldn't you see chambers like this? This is the osseous labyrinth, this is the cochlea. And here is the membranous labyrinth, the cochlear duct. And here it's going, imagine it's going in and out, in, out, in. You see, if I took these two and put them together, you see how they match? But in reality, when the music goes in here, it goes all the way around, and then comes out the other one. So it's going out the top, it comes out the bottom. So all it's doing is this. But in that picture, you'll get a headache, right? You see what I'm saying? So the music goes in here, goes all the way to the top, comes out the bottom, and goes out here. Are we okay? But while it's doing that, it's going to the organ of chord. Now, how many organ of chords do we have? One. Think of it like, let's say a keyboard. Okay, imagine a gigantic keyboard that what we've done is I kept twisting the keyboard so as it goes around the stair step, the keyboard's one continuous keyboard. That's your organ of chording. So it's still, maybe you got the low notes here and the high notes there, but it's all one organ. But what happens here is, it looks like, oh, here's one, here's one, here's one, here. It's all the same one. Do we see that? Then I think you're ready for the real slides. Good. Got a picture of the slide, everybody? Are we okay? So here, so we've taken here, the osseous labyrinth is out here. That's the cochlea. Here's the cochlear duct, which is inside. In fact, you can't really see the cochlear duct here. You can see the vestibular duct, the tympanic duct. Well, let's make it bigger. That's what this is. Are we still with me? Good. So now over here, when I'm looking at the vestibular duct, I'm looking out that way. Oval window. When I'm looking at the tympanic duct, I'm looking this way. So basically, when we go out, this is just going around here and out here. Well, it looks really convoluted because we've spun it around on its axis. This goes to the oval window, goes to the round window, and over here, we just have this little water balloon. The water balloon has two parts. The fluid-filled area with endolymph. You're going to see a question like this on the exam. The arrow will be here. What are you going to call this spot right over here? The cochlear duct. If he has two answers on there, cochlear duct, maybe two other stupid answers, left elbow and oboe, whatever. It's the osseous, it's not the osseous, it's going to be cochlea. That's the cochlear duct. The membrane that has the, you know, it's the membrane here. It's the water balloon that works. Inside the cochlear duct is the
Endolymph.
is going to be the organ of Corti.
Oh.
Now this is the organ of Corti. So let's take a look. The vibrations at the stapes, the oval window is somewhere over there, vibrates the vestibular duct, which vibrates this membrane, this vestibular duct. What would be a good name for this membrane?
Vestibular membrane.
Vestibular membrane, which vibrates, what is this? The endolymph-filled,
Cochlear duct.
which vibrates something over here, which we'll take a look at in another picture, the organ of Corti, which vibrates this bottom layer, which is called the basilar membrane, which vibrates this, the perilymph, which then goes out the round window. Do we have a slightly better feeling where it's going?
Yes.
Good.
What is that on the left slide? It's It's got a lot of red and it's kind of hollow.
Over here?
Yeah. What is that?
It's the red spot. I don't really know. It's probably part, I don't know. It's got to be part of the cochlear duct. It just
Okay.
don't know. I do feet.
I was about to say,
Now, let's take a look here. It's a better picture. Now, can we see here that we have here the membranous labyrinth, the whole thing? Perilymph, endolymph, perilymph. The oval window's over there. It's vibrating. The perilymph vibrates, which vibrates the vestibular membrane, vibrates the endolymph in the, what is this called here? Cochlear duct. Get that question right. It's an easy question that everybody gets wrong every year. That's the cochlear duct, which vibrates the organ of Corti, which vibrates the basal membrane, which vibrates the I'm really losing it here. The tympanic membrane. All right? And you're starting to get a look at what's going on here with the organ of Corti, with the hair cells here and the tectorial membrane. But let's get a bigger look at it. So do we have that? All right, now. Vestibular membrane, vestibular duct, vestibular membrane. If I had an arrow going right here, or if I had a bracket that went from here to here, and I said, what is this? From here to here, what's the answer? Cochlear duct. We got that answer yet?
This must be on the test.
It better be on the test. I don't make up the test, and she does, so I don't know, but that's the kind of thing that should show up on the new stuff. So this is the cochlear duct, and inside the cochlear duct is this whole thing, which is the organ of Corti, which has the tectorial membrane and the hair cells. Remember the hair cells have the stereocilia? We talked about that, right?
Yes.
Good. And then basal membrane and the tympanic duct. Let's get all the words on there. Take the picture, get the words. Got it all? Can you sort of see where everything fits together? May I proceed, or are we all? No, you don't. What do you want? What? What do you need? Does it all make sense? You okay? Well, I thought you were.
I was yawning.
I thought you were giving me the not yet Mandrish. Okay. So here's an electron micrograph or an ugly picture of some kind, and you can see. A, the vestibular duct, E, the tympanic duct, E, the tympanic duct, and then you got the B, going to be the cochlear duct. You can see over here the hair cells in the organ of Corti. Here's the tectorial membrane. We got it? Mm-hmm. So over here, the stereocilia we talked about here with the just lost it. What's it called? I can't think what I want to say. The pinpoint. Oh God, I'm getting senile.
Getting?
It's very sad. Very sad.
I probably wouldn't say something like that until after the test.
Why? I'll forget it by the time I leave you.
He has a point.
What am I looking for? The phrase for that. The tip links, thank God. The tip links, in other words, you got these stereocilia, the tip links, so if it pulls one way, it's going to depolarize, make it easier to have an extra potential, the other way it hyperpolarizes. Okay, so we should be able to look at this. Over here is the osseous labyrinth for hearing, what's it called? The cochlea. What do you call the membranous labyrinth for hearing?
Organ recording?
No.
The vestibular duct? Cochlear
Yes.
duct.
Duct?
The water balloon in the middle. This is the cochlear duct. It's got the organ of Cordy, but it's a whole thing, so you understand? This is the cochlear duct. You got the vestibular duct, the tympanic duct. You're getting that, you're gonna get that wrong. Let's get that right. The membranous labyrinth is the cochlear duct.
The vestibular and the tympanic are actually the bone itself.
No. The bone, there's bone around this whole thing.
Okay.
So
bone.
they're not bound, basically.
They are.
Here is the bone.
Yeah.
Inside, this is the cochlea, osseous labyrinth, vestibule, osseous, semicircular canals, osseous.
Okay. It was just
Okay?
you're asking what was the membrane.
So the bone is out here.
Yeah.
In here is a sack of stuff.
Oh.
This sack of stuff over here is the cochlear duct, the membranous labyrinth. We got that? Good.
So the vestibular duct and the tympanic, even though they're fully filled, they're not part of the membranous labyrinth.
They're part of the membranous labyrinth,
But they're not specific.
but
for-
it's really the cochlear duct is really what we're talking about. Okay. So we have, what do we call the osseous labyrinth over here for the area of static stance? It's called the vestibule. Inside the vestibule is this blue stuff. This blue stuff over here have those hair cells with the otoliths for static stance. They have, their membranous labyrinth is called the utricle saccule. The thing that actually works is the maculae, like the thing that actually works in the cochlear duct is the organ of Cordy. The organ of Cordy is the nerve complex with the vibrating hairs that let you hear. The membranous labyrinth in the vestibule is going to be called the utricle and saccule. And in the utricle and saccule, you have the hairs with the otoliths. That's called maculae. Over here, you can see the 3 semicircular canals. They have swellings at the end. These swellings in the bone here are called ampullae, or ampulla. A-M-P-U-L-L-A. Inside the ampulla, you have these, you have the crista ampullaris. That's got to be the hair cells with the cupola, the snot on top of it.
Oh.
So the semicircular canals, their membranous labyrinths are the easy ones. These blue things inside the bone are called semicircular canals. The blue stuff inside the vestibule are called the utricle and saccule. The blue stuff inside the cochlea is called the, anybody? Cochlear duct. I'm gonna go smack my head. The reason I'm
Can I record it?
is because it's gonna hurt. Don't make me hurt myself.
Okay.
There's more of me than you know.
I was about to
Multiple
say.
personalities.
Over here is the vestibule. That's the ossicle, the osseous labyrinth inside of the utricle and saccule, and the maculae are inside the utricle and saccule. Do we have that in any form? Probably won't be a question on it at all. Here's again is the maculae. Maculae have the hair cells, and here inside the gel, it's got the otoliths. The otoliths being the little bricks on top. I think it's made out of calcium carbonate.
Can you go back?
Yes.
With me, stone.
All right.
Yeah, you just said otolith, and you were like, it's made of calcium carbonate. And I was like, it's kind of like the same thing as rocks. But, and then I was like, lith means stone, so
That's right.
it makes sense.
And then over here, inside the crista ampullaris, you're going to have, at the base of the semicircular canals, inside the base is the swelling called an ampulla. You have the crista ampullaris, which has the hair cells and a piece of snot on top of it. Right? Remember, does everybody remember how those work? You remember the difference between the maculae, which have the hair cells with the bricks on it? How does that work for static stance? If I'm standing like this, and here's the odal, if I'm the hair cell, and here's the brick on top, I know I'm standing up straight because the brick is pushing down on my hair cell. If I'm leaning like this, the brick is pulling on my hair to this way. If I go like this, I know I'm leaning to the right. If I'm being held upside down by this guy because the greatest sucks, I'm not going to be upside down, the hair cell's going to be pulled off. If the hair cell's 100% off, I know I'm upside down, right? Because the hair cell doesn't have any pressure on it. That's for static stance, that's in the vestibule. Then over in the semicircular canals, they have a little swelling. That swelling is called the ampulla. In the ampulla, they have the crista ampullaris. So the ampulla is the swelling of the bone around here, the osseous labyrinth. Inside here, you have the crista ampullaris, which has got the hair cells and this piece of mucus on top, whatever the hell it is. So when I start going like this, it goes by inertia. If I go like this, the hair cell is going to be pulled back. When I stop, it'll keep going forward, won't it? That's inertia. That's why when you play that game with the baseball bat, and you run around in circles, you're running around in circles, the ampulla, the cupola, however it's pronounced, I'm going in circles, it's going in circles. I stop, it's still going in circles. That's why you're still dizzy. And that's dynamic motion. That's how I know I'm moving like this, the cupola's pulling me back. I want to show you another slide of that, I think. Let's go over here. I think I got a better one here, let's see. Sure. Okay, so here you can see the cupola is usually a little bigger. There's the crista ampullaris. And they're very close to the to the utricle sacculum. Do we have that?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to now review? Well, I want to make sure that you look at the models. Do not leave here without seeing the models of the ear and seeing all the parts. But I would like to now go over, is there anything, since I went over all the basics last week up to skin and bone, do you want me to review CNS? Do you want me to review, oh, you know what I do have? I can go over some stuff here. I got some cool stuff